Welcome to The Southern Steep, the public health and social justice podcast brought to you by NASDAD. Much like brewing stronger tea, this platform aims to brew stronger community by centering the voices of community leaders and their innovative work in the Southern United States. I'm your host, Nicole Elenoff, and I'm joined by my incredible colleague, the one and only Torrian Baskerville. Hi, Torrian. How are you today?
Hey, Nicole. I'm well.
Awesome. Well, happy Monday. For those asking, this is Monday morning, and we are brewing some tea. We are excited to welcome our special guest, Daniel J. Downer. Daniel is an award-winning community advocate and organizer and the executive director of the Bros and Convo Initiative, a community organization in Orlando promoting and protecting the health equity of Black, gay, bisexual, queer, and same-gender loving men. Welcome, Daniel. We are so glad to have you. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I am doing all right. The weather outside in Orlando is it was overcast, but now there's some sun shining through. So that's very promising for how the day is going to be.
You know, we got a little sunshine always. And just a personal note, Daniel is one of my really, really close friends, and he brings sunshine to me in my life. So just having him on this morning is just giving me a lot of life to get through this week. So it's so good to have you on here, friend.
It's so good to be on here, friend. And anytime with you is always going to be special, exciting, and very fun.
Oh, can you just feel the love on this Monday morning?
So, you know, there's a lot going on, but I know that you all just celebrated a big anniversary. Bros and Convo just, celebrated 3 years as an organization. And first, I want to say a huge congratulations. That's a big deal to have an organization be around and thriving for 3 years. But can you tell us a little bit about how Bros and Convo got started and how has the organization grown over the last couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. So thank you. We are 3 years young and thriving. We made it past terrible twos. We actually didn't really have a terrible two, but hey. So back in 2015, 2016, I realized and recognized that there really weren't many spaces for Black, gay, bisexual, queer, and same gender loving men in Central Florida or the Orlando area to really have conversations around sexual health and wellness, emotion and mind health and wellness, as well as just being connected to resources. I think about just having conversations with friends and them not knowing where they could get tested or where they were able to get access, pre-exposure prophylaxis at low cost or no cost, where they could go if they were living with HIV and underinsured or uninsured and not hearing about Ryan White. So all of these siloed conversations I was having with friends and associates made me realize that there was a need to kind of have more in-depth conversation, but really support one another on that journey, especially because not only do many of us sit at the intersections of being just Black or queer, bisexual, same gender loving, we sit at the intersections of either being Black and brown and all of the challenges and barriers that come with that. It's hard enough to get primary care. So thinking about specialty care, that's like a whole nother beast. And so I really wanted to be able to provide that space. But as you know, that space requires coins. And it really requires like a plan and intention. And so I had that thought in my mind, but I really didn't, I don't think I necessarily had the courage or the capital to do that, the coin to do that yet. And then through my amazing friendship with you, I was connected to Noelle, Gordon, and Marvell Terry II, who were at the Human Rights Campaign, and were both co-managing their HIV and health equity program. And part of that was the HIV 360 Fellowship. And so I had the honor and the privilege of sharing space, not only with Noelle and Marvell, who really, I would say, kind of like were the first individuals that kind of like really allowed me to kind of take those thoughts and put them on paper, but also share space with some amazing, my fellows who inspired me to really like go forward with this. And so part of that program was providing seed money or mini grant activation for a project. And it was like, that was the birth of Bros in Convo. So we started with $7,500 for what in my mind was just going to be like a 6-month pilot. I kind of knew that there was going to be sustainability afterwards, but I did not anticipate that it would grow the way it grew. So we started off with $7,500 for 6 months. And I would say probably within like the third or fourth month, like there was just an overwhelming response from community individuals being a part of the program. We had young men that came into the program not even knowing their status, learning that they were living with HIV. And then by the third month, they were either undetectable or virally suppressed. They were connecting friends to providers. They were walking their friends through the Ryan White eligibility process. And so it was really, really beautiful to see. And then it was like, what's next? That's what I kept getting, was like, what's next? Like, this is great, but what's next? And so really we have grown based on the needs of the community. And really we are guided and directed by community. Our mission and our vision is deeply embedded in the principles of meaningful involvement with the communities we serve and greater involvement for the communities we serve. And so our programs, the way we market, anything that we do is really fueled by what we consider our community stakeholders, which are young Black men of all spectrums. And so it's been really, really beautiful to see us expand and grow just from a 6-month sexual health and wellness program to having multiple sexual health and wellness programs, being able to work really, really closely with community providers to link individuals to HIV preventive care, whether that's pre-exposure prophylaxis, post-exposure prophylaxis, STI screenings and treatment, but also being able to expand into emotion and mind wellness. So being able to provide some peer-led support groups, not only for individuals living with HIV, but also individuals who aren't living with HIV. And then lastly, recognizing how important it is to see the value in community members and really providing some programming to build their capacity and their leadership. And so that's been really exciting to see that unfold as some of our young men who have gone through our program now work for community partners. So that's also been really, really special to see those familiar faces. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey the past 3 years with what we've been able to do, being a small organization, but seeing the big impact that we've been able to make has really been heartwarming.
So I want to just say kudos to you and the work that you guys are doing. I think it's important that we highlight and we give space for Black queer individuals and organizations, especially Black queer-led organizations, because there's not many of us that are out there and doing the work in very substantial, non-traditional yet effective ways. And so the fact that you have reached 3 years with your organization is a testament to the kind of leader that you are within this space and within this community. And so I want to give you your flowers, because 3 years is not a small feat. There's organizations that haven't even made a year, right? Don't even get off the ground, right? And so I want to make sure that you feel the love, because the work that you're doing in your organization in its mere existence is important, right?
Thank you so much. I receive all of those affirmations. I really appreciate that, and I will share that definitely with my staff as well, because I'm not the only one who's doing this amazing work. I have an amazing staff that really help push me, but that are also, working tirelessly and effortlessly to ensure that we really are making sure that our community members are not only their best selves, but their healthiest selves as well.
Absolutely. And just from the perspective of being able to watch the organization, grow from the logic models and the community action plans and the beginning stages, and then, seeing how you invested those $7,500 and now have, I don't know how much y'all's budget is now, but it's definitely not $7,500. It's
Definitely.
a lot more. Definitely a lot more. You have accomplished so much in the last 3 years and beyond, really, because, the planning and preparation and the intentionality that goes into a new organization or a new program is definitely more than just the 3 years. You've been working on this since, you mentioned, 2016. So with all of that being said, with everything y'all have done and accomplished, what do you think you are the most proud of?
Oh, wow. I think what I am the most proud of is just being able to create a space that was not there before for community members to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel valued. I think about, like, prior to the Bros and Convo Initiative, there was no Black queer-led organization specifically for young Black men of all spectrums. And so I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that, that myself and my staff, we were able to create a space that wasn't there before, and definitely is being utilized. And even when I think of, like, all of the activities and the programs and everything that has come from that, I'm really most proud of being able to create that space, because it's created such an impact that I anticipated, but I didn't anticipate, but has continuously affirmed me that, like, this is needed. This is needed, and it continues to be needed. So I think that's my greatest accomplishment, is just being able to create that space and have that space sustain to create additional impact for community.
So I think, in alignment with creating space, right? You said something earlier that I think, especially with Black queer men, right, it's not something that we often discuss or talk about. And I'm speaking about mental health, right, and mindfulness and emotional mindfulness. Can you give some some knowledge about your program, Be Kind to Your Mind, and how that works in with, pulling Black queer people into mental healthiness?
Definitely. So, Be Kind to Your Mind, really, one of the common themes with the Bros and Convo Initiative is that we really things kind of start as a rapid response and then sustain. And so Be Kind to Your Mind was actually birthed out of, this was around the time Jussie Smollett had came out about being assaulted, being a victim of a horrible crime, and watching all of the dialogue on social media, and how there was victim shaming and like silencing of, you know, his truth and his experience, really kind of like prompted me to reach out to a great friend of mine, Yasmin Flasterstein, who has a fairly new organization as well called Peer Support Space, which, to my knowledge, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the, if not the only, peer-led organization when it comes to emotion and mind health. So individuals are actually learning from their peers in a way how to overcome or how to be their healthiest selves, emotion and mind wise, maybe versus another trajectory or pathway. And so I was having a conversation with Yasmin and I said, you know, we just need to create a space where people can, for 2 hours, close their laptops, turn off their phones, and just relax. Because social media, while it's so great in connecting us and keeping us in the loop with things, it's also very taxing on our emotion and our mind well-being. There's so many trigger points. There's so much information that can make individuals feel a certain way. And so that really was the purpose of Be Kind to Your Mind. We said for 2 hours, we are going to get folks together. They're going to be able to turn off their cell phones, close their laptops. We're going to have snacks, fuzzy blankets, coloring books, all of these things to make individuals feel happy. And then we were going to be able to provide a space for folks to share what they are feeling in that moment. And part of sharing that in that moment is individuals being allowed to say, hey, I just want to vent, or I am open to advice, or I'm open to feedback, or I'm open to advice and feedback. And so that's how Be Kind to Your Mind really started. As a response to that, we just wanted to create a brave and safe space for people just to feel like they can unplug and unwind. And like many of our programs, it was like, oh, this is great. When is the next one? And Yasmin and I kind of looked at ourselves like, well, we didn't plan on necessarily a next one, but it has grown. It has really, really grown into being really an exciting journey for Be Kind to Your Mind for individuals that access it. And I think what I love about it is how Be Kind to Your Mind is open to anyone and everyone. So whether you identify as queer, as heterosexual, as cisgender, as someone of trans experience, non-binary, gender non-conforming, we open it to everyone because we think that it's really important for everyone to be in a space, because even my experience as a Black queer individual, it may be unique, but there may be a commonality that we share, right? And so it's been really, really beautiful to see Be Kind to Your Mind flourish into what it's become. We have an amazing therapy dog by the name of Dee Dee, who's also there to provide comfort. And it's been really, really beautiful. And so Be Kind to Your Mind really made us realize that we really needed to create additional space, in particular for Black and Brown folk, youth and young adults that were living with HIV. And so we created a emotion and mind wellness program called Youth and Young Adults Living Positively, YOUP, that really kind of walked through some of the feelings and emotions individuals that are living with HIV may experience. And so we held a focus group with our executive advisory council, and we were kind of like, what would you want, or what do you think individuals will want out of the session? And so the sessions are specifically tailored to issues and topics that individuals living with HIV may experience. Like one of them is built around anxiety and depression that we experience during the holidays, because for many of us, we have been ostracized from family, from friends, from connections because of our status. And the holidays can be such a difficult time when you're seeing everyone talking about family and going here and going there. And so we have a session built around how can you overcome the anxiety and depression of the holidays. There's one focused on positive body image, because for individuals taking HIV, the medicine affects everyone's body a different way, right? And so how can we love on ourselves in spite of like our body going through changes, right? And then we have one built around disclosure, because that's really, really difficult sometimes to be able to disclose, not only to intimate partners, but also like to family or to friends. And so there's a session built around disclosure and how it doesn't have to be daunting, and really walking individuals through that process. And so Yelp is really, really special because it really, we saw where it resonated so much with folks. And so, yeah, Be Kind to Your Mind and Yelp are just the beginning of really what we want to do. I think what I love is that I have a board, I have staff, I have a community advisory group that really understand our mission and our vision, and really allow us to try to meet community in such innovative ways. So yeah.
Thank you for going into some of the more diving more into the details about Be Kind to Your Mind and also Yelp. I think sometimes we just need a vent with a fuzzy blanket. And I love that one of the things about Be Kind to Your Mind being that, you can vent, but it's not automatic feedback or advice. Sometimes I just want to talk it out and not hear what your opinion is about it. And I think that's such a unique thing about the space. One thing that I kind of want to go back to is you mentioned about the meaningful involvement of people, whether they're living with HIV, meaningful involvement of community. And, just by these different programs you just talked about, you had the Be Kind to Your Mind, the folks wanted more. You can almost call it like an appetizer, and then they wanted the full meal. And y'all listened to that and you gave the people what they wanted. You are holding space to talk about what community wants, and not just a needs thing, but also like, what do they want? Because need and want are different things. So, just being able to really highlight that, like, that's, I think, one of the reasons why y'all have been so successful, because you're actually listening to the community and what they want, not just about what they need. So, there's been such a buzz around community engagement recently. Community engagement. What do you think about community engagement? And just tell me about community engagement from your lens.
Yeah, so I think for us, community engagement, it looks like a consistent invested relationship that exceeds beyond just like the numbers. So like our engagement, it transcends just like when we're trying to like get individuals involved into our programs to once they've like completed the program. There are individuals who were in our initial 6-month program cohort that even to this day, we are still consistently engaged with them, consistently checking in, seeing what they need, being able to provide them access to different things. And so I think what's really unique about the organization is the engagement for us isn't one, and I don't want to speak for all organizations, but sometimes in this space, it's very transactional. And it's like, I'm engaging with you right now because you have something that I need. And for us, that's not the case. One of the things that I learned very, very early on with creating an organization, especially within my community, is that it has to be consistent. The community wants to see consistency. Even if you throw it out there and like nobody shows up, keep going, because the minute that you stop is the minute that they're going to be like, well, where is it? Like they're used to everything. They're used to transactional relationships, right? And what really has helped us is that we approach it from a standpoint of a transformational relationship, just as much as the transformation is happening with the community member, the transformation is happening on our end as well, because we're learning so much about ourselves, the organization, if we're meeting those needs, if we're meeting those wants. And so I think it's being consistent. I think also it's really prioritizing and seeing the value in community members. And so we have a board of directors that is definitely reflective of the community, but we also have a community advisory group, or what we call our executive advisory council, that really drives the organization. And I think that's important because for many of these community members, they're so used to just like, once again, it being transactional, but now you're providing them a position of leadership that makes them feel like I have more value outside of just what you can get from me. And I can provide my expertise and my voice, and it matters. And it really drives, what is going on. And so I really think that's also engagement, is understanding the value that community members have. Yes, they are great for being part of programs, but they're even better for being part of your leadership. They are the ones that we should really be going to when we are designing our programs, when we are implementing them, when we're evaluating them. And I think community engagement also for us in a unique way is that we understand that time is valuable. And so we compensate our individuals for any of our programs that they go through. We compensate them for their time. Their time is valuable. Their time is valuable. And so that's one thing that we pride ourselves on. And compensation looks different. So, organizations may not have the capacity to, cut stipend checks for every program. But I think there's a way that you can equally compensate individuals for the time that they are taking, because on the back end, we're getting paid for the time we're interacting with them. So they should get paid for the time that they are interacting with us. So I think it's a level of consistency. I think it's a level of intentionality and understanding value. And I also think it's a level of humility and understanding that we don't know it all. And that when we are interacting with community, when we are coming to community, we are coming into a sacred space that we should really reverence and not misuse or disuse. So yeah, all of those things to me are what envelop and involved community engagement.
And it also requires trust too, from the front, consistency. If there's lack of consistency, that could create a lot of distrust, and then the cycle continues and trust isn't built overnight. So I think it's so cool that you're able to not only like engage the community meaningfully, because there's ways to engage community that's not meaningful, but also ultimately building leadership in others. And you mentioned transformational leadership, but for those that might not know what that actually is, can you kind of unpack that for us?
Yeah, definitely. So I think many times there's a form of leadership where it is um, you have the information, the skills and the tools, and you're just like, you're giving it to that individual. And it's like, here, right? Like, here it is, like, you take it and you run with it, right? I think transformational leadership is more so you see the unique abilities, the capabilities that that individual has, those strengths, and you're tailoring what you are providing to them based on that and utilizing that. One of the things my program manager has been talking about, in addition to transformational leadership, is instead of capacity building, they've been saying we're doing capability building because we really are part of transformational leadership is seeing those capabilities and really cultivating those capabilities that those individuals have so that they can grow and can soar. And I think also part of transformational leadership is building individuals, not only for the now, but for the future, and not only for your space, but also for future spaces. And so part of our transformational leadership model is building our young men to, as we like to say, elevate out and create their own organizations or do whatever it is that they want to do. And so that's the difference with transformational leadership and a more transactional one is that it really is person centered and individual focused.
Can I borrow capability building?
You definitely can. I don't believe that that's something that we coined, but it did resonate with me when my program manager said that because we were having the conversation. I was like, capacity building. And they were like, shout out to Andre, my program manager, amazing, amazing individual who said, Daniel, we're not capacity building, we are capability building. And I was like,
Boom.
oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
a mic drop.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I wrote that one down. Thanks, Andre.
Listen, I've been over here writing in my little notepad because I think there are so many nuggets, right, that you spoke about and that you dropped. And the theme that I am getting that keeps resonating with me is investment, right? And you talked about it earlier. And I think you're speaking, investment isn't, like you said, transactional, right? Investment is, I see your capabilities, right? As a community, I see your capabilities as a staff person. I see your capabilities as a community person and that's doing work and helping us in some capacity. And now how do I invest back into you the way that you're investing in our organization? And you are exactly right that that's transformational, right? Like that is how you transform community. That is how you transform individuals and how you build their capability, right? To be, see, live, thrive, and expand, right? And so kudos to you and your agency and your team because it's like this is the things that we as community members, as Black queer men, always talk about when we're engaging in organizations or engaging with organizations that we're like, this is missing, right? Like we're not hard to engage. You know what I mean? Like we're not difficult to reach out to. We are not difficult to retain. It's about your approach and it's about how you handle us and how you navigate us and how you treat us that determines whether you get to engage us in meaningful ways, whether you get to retain us in meaningful ways, right? And I think that it's important. The thing that kept resonating with me was like investment. And oftentimes for Black queer individuals, specifically Black queer men, we often feel like we're a transaction, right? Like we need something from you and we don't really care necessarily about what you need from us besides how we what we need for this grant, right? And what we need to provide you in order for you to give us what we need for this deliverable. And so I just, oh my God, I'm just over here like taking notes because it's so, so important. What you're talking about is so, so very important. So thank you.
The other day I was in a training and they dropped this like quote, like, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will shape your reality. And I think and just like, whoa, that, yes. But, that whole narrative of like hard to reach, at what point is that hard to reach narrative becoming internalized? And I think that it really does take investment, but intentional investment. And investment could look so many different ways, like money for a seed program, that's $7,500. That was an investment. Time to talk through things, that's an investment. So it's just really, yeah, like you're investing into the community and making Central Florida a really great place, or at least a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a start and we're working on it.
You know what? It's a journey. It doesn't have to be a race.
It's a journey. So, one of the reasons why we thought that, Southern Steep, brewing stronger community, the South is such a special place. And sometimes we hear, and sometimes we hear a lot of smack about the South. We just went through a really rigorous election cycle. We're not going to go into that. But, still at the end of the day, how come the South is getting blamed for X, Y, and Z? So I guess my question to you is, what do you love about the South?
Ooh. I think one of the things that I love most about being a Southerner is personality. I think of like growing up and it not being awkward, like going to the store and someone saying like, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Like there's just a real homey feel. So that's one of the things I love about the South and being Southern. I think, of course, it's not up for debate. We have the most amazing cuisine in the world. It is not up for debate. I see you, Torrian, and I value your experience, but nothing beats Southern food. Like, nothing beats Southern food. And then I also think we have just such a rich tradition that is unique to ourselves. It's funny, I was sharing with, so I reside in Sanford, Florida, and I just learned the term bookie because it's like a lot of folks in Sanford are like, I'm from the bookie. And I was like, what is the bookie? And apparently Sanford back in the day was like this really important railroad and shipping city. And when the train would come through that stop, they would say it was supposed to be boat key, but they would say bookie. And so it's kind of like an unofficial term for individuals who are from Sanford. They're kind of like, I'm from the bookie. And I just think like, I love that about being in the South is that we have such unique traditions and words to describe things. That's really, really, really beautiful. So those are some of the reasons why I like the South. Plus our good weather.
Snaps to the good weather.
Most of it.
Yeah,
No
right.
arguments there from a person as a person from the North. There is no argument there.
Yeah, that food is like a tummy hug. Yeah. It's just so much comfort, all in one little space. So my follow-up question for you is, what do you want to see for the South?
Oh, I think what I want to see for the South is, there are a couple of things I want to see for the South. I definitely want to see a better healthcare infrastructure. Because when I think of most of the states that are in the South, our healthcare infrastructures leave a lot to be desired. And so I think that's definitely really, really important. I think equally important, you know this, Nicole, I am a mass transit junkie. So I would love to see a better mass transit infrastructure in the South. There is a clear correlation between better mass transit and health outcomes. That's another conversation for another time. But like, you can do the research and you can see it. Like, when individuals are able to transport effectively, efficiently, and in such a good amount of time, it improves so many different things within their lives, including their health. So definitely a better mass transit infrastructure. And then I think the last thing I would like to see happen in the South is what's already happening. When I think of like millennials like myself, that really are wanting to bring the South into like a new chapter. We're very well aware of the history of the South and its past. But I really would love to see more of what's happening, where individuals are creating a new South, a South that is affirming of everyone, a South that is inclusive of everyone, a South that celebrates our diversity and doesn't look at our differences as being areas to tear down. And so I would love to continue to see that organizing, that engagement, that mobilization, and that transformation of a new South.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Woo! You know, I know that with all the organizing that's taking place in the South, the investment and community taking place in the South, I truly do believe that a lot of those visions you just outlined can really become possible. And it continues to take organizing, capability building for us to get there. Daniel, this has been such a gift. Thank you for spending time with us this morning and really sharing a lot about the impact that you all are doing, but the impact that y'all's movement has made, like, in general. You have really, you and your organization have not only impacted Central Florida, but I truly believe, greater than that. So we really appreciate you being on here and talking about your work, and really for helping brew stronger community in your area.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this tea time that we had together. It was really great sharing space with you all and having conversation. And yeah, here's to a stronger brew in the South.
That's right.
100%.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, thank you so much again. We really look forward to speaking with you more and getting to help, amplifying some of the work that y'all are doing.
Thank you so much. Look forward to it again.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I think that's it for this segment of the Southern Steep. Join us for our next segment called The Southern Charm. It's time for a segment we call Southern Charm. Here we highlight the work of someone or an organization that is charmingly impacting the South. On this episode, we are highlighting the All Black Lives Matter Fund, launched by the Contigo Fund. That could be a whole other Southern charm on the Contigo Fund, by the way. The All Black Lives Matter Fund dedicates funding to frontline LGBTQ plus organizing groups and efforts that are Black LGBTQ plus led in Central Florida to build on the movement for Black lives, particularly those led by and for Black transgender, gender nonconforming, and gender non-binary community and sex workers. The fund is motivated by the numerous and often invisibilized cases of violence and murders against our Black transgender family at the hands of police brutality, white supremacy, and transphobia, including Iana Dior, Nina Pop, Tony McDade, Rhea Milton, and Dominique Remy Fells, and others recently taken from us. Calling on all of us to hashtag say their names, the fund offers support and solidarity to all Black lives in Central Florida and across the nation. To further maximize the fund's impact, Out in the South is matching donations 3-1. To learn more about the All Black Lives Matter Fund, visit tinyurl.com/allblacklivesfund in all caps. A fun fact about the All Black Lives Fund is that our guest this episode, Daniel Downer, was a big leader in getting this fund started and created. And as you heard in the episode, investment is something that Daniel takes seriously. And through his leadership, he worked with the Contigo Fund to get this fund, the All Black Lives Matter Fund, started. So snaps to this to the All Black Lives Matter Fund, and snap to investing in communities. We really appreciate you all spending time with us today, and we hope that you continue on and brew stronger community.